My name is Mila DeChant. I'm going to be speaking about changing the narratives of the future of work to become the now of work. So narratives play such an important role in how we shape our realities. And those positive or negative narratives that we create can shape someone's reality in the now and can bleed into the future. And my narrative in 2018 was a bleak one. In 2018, I stood on top of a building ready to jump. I wanted the pain to end so badly. I wanted the shame to end. I wanted the negative, toxic words that played in a loop over and over and over again in my head to stop. These negative narratives sounded like this: you are not valuable. You're not an asset. You're useless. You don't have any skills. You're a foreigner. You can't speak English. You can't do anything right. This discombobulated my heart and my mind. These toxic words resurfaced a dark moment in my childhood. I was abused by my teacher when I was 10. And those are the words I heard. You're stupid. You're going to be a person who picks up rubbish when you grow up. You're going to amount to nothing when you grow up. And the words of my toxic managers unveiled how I felt as a child. I was ostracized. I was isolated. I felt useless. I was dehumanized, demonized. I was pushed out of the team. I could not understand the gap of the negative words of my manager and the positive words of other leaders from different teams, where they saw the value I brought, but my managers refused to see the value I brought. I felt worthless. My reality and my narrative back then was I was not part of the society. I might as well end my life. As I edged closer to the end of the building, I swayed forward. And I heard a voice say, stop. Till this day, I do not know where that voice came from. But that voice was the defining moment for me to redefine my future, to redefine my currency. It pushed me to challenge the narratives of future of work, the toxic narratives of future of work created by toxic managers and leaders who treated their people as though they were disposable. Oftentimes when we talk about future of work, the narrative consists of two themes. One is technology, the other is AI, right? And we treat both these teams as superstars. They are celebrated. And oftentimes people panic thinking that AI and technology is going to displace us. But I say we have got it all wrong. AI is not going to displace us, but the lack of humaneness and the lack of hardship is displacing us and will continue to displace us in the future of work. The lack of humaneness manifests in the following manner. There is a rising phenomenon and crisis of workplace toxicity. I experienced it. I researched so many cases. There is a rise in toxicity, and there's a rise in the workplace. Harvard research reveals 25 to 50% of workers report being bullied at some point in their careers. And being bullied impacts them at nuanced level. People experience the sense of not having a belonging. They experience anxiety. They experience depression. They experience lack of worth, lack of purpose. Now, there's another side to the lack of humaneness in the narratives that we create under the umbrella of future of work. And that is the dismissive narrative. And this dismissive narrative can look like pay equity can only be possible in the future. Opportunities for women of color can only become possible in the future. I already have X number of colored women in my organization. We're not ready to embrace more. Or the narrative can sound like we'll be more open to having women in leadership in the future. That's the future of work, right? And when we're pushing all these narratives into the future of work, we are consciously creating an exclusive culture that displaces people and creates stagnation. It's like saying, hey, oxygen is only available for a selected group of people. The rest of you, oxygen will be provided for you in the future, for you to thrive in the future. But when oxygen is not present right now, we are toxicating people to diminish. And that leaves me with a thought. And I leave this thought for your field. Is the future even possible when the now is not even available? Is the future even possible when the now is not even available, right? When diversity is pushed, when opportunities are pushed into the future, it's not even possible and available for all. It's not even possible to create equity in the now when we create this dismissive narrative for the future. Mahatma Gandhi once said, the future depends on what we do in the present. I read that again. The future depends on what we do in the present. When we create positive narratives, it creates impact in the now. When we create positive behavior, it creates impact in the now. And how can we be in the present? Being in the present is be in presence. In order for the present to be possible, we must be in presence. And that presence looks like seeing not only with your eyes, seeing with your ears, seeing with your mind, seeing with your heart. Growing up, my mom sent me to Buddhist school, and we spent a lot of time in meditating. And one thing I learned in being present is it provides an opportunity for us to notice the invisible to become visible. I repeat that again. When we are present, it gives us an opportunity to notice the invisible become visible. So we have to become more aware of what people are going through, what is going on around our environment. And speaking of being present and in the presence, the current events have definitely unveiled a lot of events, right? The invisible has become visible. The pandemic has pushed working from home, a concept of future of work, to become possible right now. A far-fetched idea, which was in the future, a fantasy, became possible right now. So I was curious to understand how people experienced working from home. And the pandemic, this research unveiled so many things. I surveyed hundreds of people, I spoke with hundreds of people. Even though people had the luxury of working from home, the luxury quickly turned into disappointment. 80% of people who took part in the survey shared that their new reality looked like this. They started their day at 6 a.m. and ended at 11 p.m. And even though their commute time was given back, their commute time was replaced by other responsibilities that they had to do. So it consisted of waking up, right? Making breakfast for themselves or lunch for themselves and children, if they have children. Get their children ready, get their disabled parents ready or dependent ready. And then they had to attend meetings, log into work. They had to put on different hats because they didn't only have one hat anymore. They had multiple hats on top of the job that they were doing. It was being a teacher, being a caregiver, being a chef, right? Being a conflict resolutionist when conflicts arise at home amongst your children. And they were trying to juggle work, right? And when they reached out to their managers expressing that it was too much for them to juggle. The narrative of, here's your flexibility, go attend to what you need to do and come back later to log in, or log in over the weekend. And that pushed them to work longer hours. So after taking care of the family or their dependents, they had to log back in at 7 p.m. and work till 11 p.m. Now, this has highlighted the lack of humaneness, right? And this backed for a different side of the story. So we researched even furthermore. If people are experiencing lack of humaneness, lack of empathy during a crisis, a pandemic, how are they experiencing life when no presence of crisis is available? So the research that we found was people spend 70 to 80% of their awake time at work. That leaves them 6 hours. Some people who work long hours, that leaves them 4 hours. If people are going to bed at 10 p.m., they have got 6 to 4 hours to squeeze all of these 8 factors. But most people can only squeeze 2 factors within a day, which is running errands and being at work, if they're consumed by 70 to 80% of their awake time at work. How can you squeeze meditation, exercising, being playful, being creative, spending time with family, relaxation, when all these 6 factors are pushed onto over the weekend? And that speaks of the absence of empathy. Even though we create this fantasy of future of work, flexibility in the future of work, diversity in the future of work, it suffocates us in the presence. Absence of empathy in the now of work creates the future of work. Absence of empathy destroys opportunities for growth, destroys opportunities for one's voice to be heard. It destroys opportunities to take care of one's well-being. It destroys opportunities to lead a sustainable life without burnout or compromising one's health. And we have to become more conscious of not letting the future shadow the now, how we are creating the narratives of the now of work. Themes like diversity, opportunities, humane treatment, human needs, flexibility are being pushed into the concept of future of work, which then pushes the workplace to become more and more unfavorable. And the cry for change is now, right? It begs for the question of, why isn't there empathy? Where did kindness go? What is flexibility? Are we truly leading for the future, starting from the now, by creating a culture of hardship? Hardship is about understanding someone else for the beating hearts that they are from our beating hearts. Remember, the narratives that we create in the now, let it be positive or negative, allows someone to be enabled or displaced. And the narratives that we are creating becomes behaviors. And those behaviors that we are creating creates a culture. And that culture can be a culture of evolution, a culture of hardship, or a culture of stagnation. Hardship focuses on sustainability. We have to enable our people from the core upon understanding them from an extended lens. Just like how people are experiencing extended struggles during a pandemic, and that allows us to see the kind of struggles that they are experiencing even on a normal day without a crisis. We have to challenge unfavorable frameworks. Stop following frameworks from 40 years ago, 20 years ago, or 10 years ago, and ask those difficult questions that create sustainability. Design sustainable spaces for our humans in the now. And we have to value them as humans, right? Because ultimately our environment is operated by humans, even though we can innovate it in the future or when we can automate things. But humans come predominantly to belong and to create and build with us. So our return on investment is not the fiscal property. Our return on investment becomes impact, initiative, intention, innovation, inspiration, individualism. When we create impact in the now, initiative in the now, innovation in the now, inspiration in the now, and accept someone as they are, as they come and belong. We have to accept their individualism. When we do that in the now, it enables them infinitely, exponentially, and that bleeds into the future, and that enables them to thrive. A seed, when we plant seeds for the future, when we want fruits of a tree in the future, we have to create those variables in the now. Those variables in the now is giving the seed proper water, proper nutrients, proper soil, proper sunlight. And when we hold these back, saying it will be available in the future, we are stunting someone's growth. We're stunting that seed's growth. So I leave you with this. What is the written of eyes? What kind of eye are you creating to bring the collective culture of your organization and changing those narratives from the future of the work to the now of work? Because when we don't create good environment for our people in the now, it can never be possible in the future. I am Mila DeChant, a culture scientist who's passionate about creating cultures, hardship cultures for our environment, because humans belong in a three-pronged perspective and culture happens in a three-pronged perspective. Home, society, workplace, and schools. We belong in every facet. Thank you for listening. I will take a few questions. We have got 3 more minutes. And again, I am so thankful that you're here today, giving me your attention. And that's what it's all about, being in the present and being in presence. Connect with me on Twitter, connect with me on LinkedIn. I look forward to hearing from you and building and redesigning everything together. Thank you. When can we learn more? Yes, absolutely. So you can follow me on Twitter. You can follow me on LinkedIn. I'm predominantly on LinkedIn and on Twitter, and I host hardship chats. I go live every Wednesday on LinkedIn and on Twitter. And my company is Chief of Hearts. We focus on culture science, and my mission is to solve or eliminate poverty of the mind and the heart, to build hardship, which is the now of leading it is. So follow me. I do live chats every Wednesdays and Fridays, and I'm bringing back Mondays on, and we explore the different pillars of hardship. How do we lead in the now? So thank you again for being here. If there are no questions, yes, Melanie. My live chat, the next live chat is at actually 12 p.m. today, Eastern time. I'll be talking about shame, how shame erodes and corrodes humanity, starting from the workplace. So I'm in the Eastern time zone. I'm based out of DC. So you can join me 12 p.m. Follow me on Twitter, follow me on LinkedIn. My name is just Mila DeChant, as you say it. And I do live chats every Wednesdays at 12 p.m. and then on Fridays. So thank you again from the bottom of my heart for being here, because without you, we can't make a change. Without you, I'll be just speaking to no one. So thank you again for being here. Any other questions? We have got 1 more minute left. I believe the recording is available. You have to find it on the website. So thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Jacqueline. Thank you, Melanie, for being here. Follow me. If you've got any questions about hardship and culture and the now of work, please do reach out to me. Have a fantastic day, everyone.